Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to try out some new flints that we just had delivered here yesterday, courtesy of our old pal Robert Hollingsworth Jr. Robert had asked me last week in a comment on a video whether I'd ever tried the clipper flints, and truthfully I had tried them a long time ago, but had actually kind of forgotten. It says that they are suitable for all leading lighter brands. There are 9 flints inside each of these packages, and I've already cut one of these open so that we can get to these a little bit easier. You can see that these flints are much darker than the others that we have been using recently. And we have several lighters out in front of us here that have problems with their spark, or for whatever reason do not ignite reliably. We've done several videos on this Thorns double claw table lighter. The last video that we did, we replaced the wick in it for a 3rd time, and this lighter appears to light every 3rd time. Funny that I just said that and then it does it twice in a row, but I was laughing because I said that we had changed the wick for the 3rd time and that it lights every 3rd time. Basically, every 3rd time that you hit the button, and some of that may be caused by the quick repetition of those strikes. With the lid being up, that may dull our vapors a little bit. But you can see, while it does strike and will ignite, it's just not what you would think of as a reliable, dependable lighter. If you're going to depend on it, it should light every time. And now we're not even getting one every 3. So there you can see once again that it does light, just not reliably. So we are going to remove the red tinted eBay flint that is in it. This flint was also courtesy of our buddy Robert Hollingsworth. And there we go. Looks like there may be some uneven wear on that flint for sure. Well, let's just see what happens if we install one of these clipper flints into the mechanism. Going to place that right there in the tube, and then drop our spring down on top of it to get the tension that is required there. Of course, that'll take a few strikes to get that grooved properly. We have some other lighters here as well, though, that do not light reliably. This Ronson Capri, really cool, aesthetically pleasing lighter. I believe this is what would be referred to as Wedgwood Jasperware. And it does spark, and it even lights. It just doesn't do so reliably. I was hoping to get it to ignite at least once here before we change that flint out. So there you go. Proof of life, proof that it will ignite, but also proof that it does not light reliably. So we're also going to pull our flint spring and screw out of this one. That flint also looks like it is wearing unevenly, not as severe as the Thorns flint was. So we're going to drop this clipper flint down the tube. There we go. Now follow that with the flint spring and screw. No trouble getting that spring started, or I should say screw. We'll get that grooved in the proper direction here, and then tighten the screw on down. And then we will give this a shot. This is probably the worst igniting of the Ronson lighters we have out here anyway. I've got another one that lights up fairly reliably. Well, it was lighting fairly reliably when we made earlier videos on it. But as you can see now, sparks, but not exactly an overwhelming shower of sparks, and we've struck this here about a dozen times and it hasn't lit yet. So we will check that one here in a moment. Maybe that one isn't any better than this Capri, but I figured the Capri was a good place to start because it just doesn't light very reliably at all. There we get a good solid strike and it lights up. And this lighter appears to possibly have a problem with the flint tension. Double strike there. And maybe part of our problem here is vapor lock. So we'll pick that one back up in a minute and just see. Now that we have had our lid closed on our Thorns double claw table lighter for a few minutes here, let's just see whether it might strike right up. Did not strike on the first one. Remember too though that we have not grooved this flint as of yet, so we may have a little bit of a adjustment coming here as that flint is grooved, and maybe we'll end up with a better ability to ignite once that flint is grooved and grinding off those little shavings as it should. That felt like a really strong strike, not getting bogged down in the softness of the flint. But as you can see, as of yet, not making any difference on the function or ignition of this lighter. We're getting spark, but it is not an overwhelming spark. Our flint spring is in place, providing the tension. The tension that it has anyway. Whether it is providing the tension it needs is another story. Pretty good spark. decent anyway, and does appear as though it is not sparking with every strike though. So I don't know if there's something about the composition of these flints. We'll leave that closed for a few more minutes and just see. We will round things out in this video by attempting to put this third clipper flint that we have here into this Ronson gem, which you saw a moment ago was definitely not lighting reliably. That lighter had a new Dunhill blue flint in it. So that ought to tell you right now that those new Dunhill blue flints are, in my mind, a clear downgrade to the old ones. If I can get that plastic punctured and get this flint out of here. And you can see also that lighter is leaking fuel. As is often the case, I'm filling lighters up if they haven't been filled up in a while. Filling them up in order to... Did I put that flint in there? Yeah. Filling them up in order to demonstrate how they work, and oftentimes that will result in the lighters being overfilled. So we will place our flint spring and screw back into place. Groove the flint into the proper direction. And it already seems like it might be improving there. Tighten down our flint spring screw. And try this one again. At the moment, there is not fuel just pouring out of it. You will end up with more fuel coming out of a lighter than you might otherwise if it is overfilled and then allowed to get hot. That lighter will basically pump fuel right out of it. So I really like this gem. It fits in your hand really nice and neat right there with just a couple of fingers. And didn't light right up, but it lit on its second try. I'm not sure what those tiled blossoms or whatever that flower is. You can see there are 3 of them plus a half on each side. Some sort of leaf. Something right there in the middle. I don't know what the design is called. So once out of every 3 is not good enough for a Ronson lighter, which advertise that they strike the first time every time. But I think it's pretty obvious at this point that this is an improvement over the way this lighter was igniting just a minute ago with the new Dunhill blue flint in it. So we will let this settle a bit. There you can see what I'm talking about that lighter purging fuel. Could also be a little bit dangerous. You got that fuel on your hand and you ignite the lighter. Could end up with a flame all over your hand. But we will continue this process with some of these other lighters, see if we can get the same sort of improvement, and check back with you guys soon. Until next time.